disconcerting. An affliction we had been doing our best to ignore had suddenly been lifted. Behind it sat a toxic mix of beliefs and symbols that, endorsed by some and tolerated by many, came under increased scrutiny. Roof's support for slavery and the Confederacy that waged war to protect it raised troubling questions about how the country has remembered and commemorated its past. Was it acceptable, for instance, that Confederate statues and flags still enjoyed a prominent place in American culture? Critics insisted it was not. By late June 2015, New Orleans Mayor Mitch Landrieu had asked the City Council to take down several monuments, including those honoring Confederate generals Robert E. Lee and P.G.T. Beauregard and the Confederate President Jefferson Davis. In Tennessee, a bipartisan coalition of lawmakers called for the removal of a bust of Nathan Bedford Forrest, a Confederate general and Ku Klux Klan leader. Critics achieved a major victory on July 9th when South Carolina legislators agreed to remove the Confederate battle flag that had flown at the state capitol since the early 1960s. The effort to purge the country of Confederate and pro-slavery symbols quickly spread beyond the South as companies such as Amazon, eBay, Walmart, and Sears prohibited the sale of Confederate flags and similar merchandise from their stores and websites. Protesters in 10 southern states vandalized statues that honored the Confederacy and those who fought for it. Unsurprisingly, Charleston itself, the site of the church shootings and the birthplace of the Civil War, was an epicenter of this grassroots graffiti campaign. 4 days after the Emanuel massacre, vandals struck the Fort Sumter Memorial in White Point Garden, spray painting the neoclassical paean to the Confederate defenders of the city with the phrases "Black Lives Matter" and "This is the problem, #racist." 2 days later, the towering memorial in Marion Square that honors John C. Calhoun, the South Carolina statesman who famously called Southern slavery a positive good, was similarly defaced. Protesters painted the word racist in red near the base of the tribute. They also modified the monument's engraved testament, which reads, "Truth, Justice, and the Constitution," by adding the words, "and slavery." The backlash came quickly. In the 6 months after the Emanuel massacre, tens of thousands of Confederate defenders gathered for more than 350 pro-flag rallies, from Fort Lauderdale, Florida to Spokane, Washington. One of the largest in Marion County, Florida, was held to show support for the county's decision to return a Confederate flag to its government complex. Legislators in several southern states proposed new laws designed to protect Confederate memorials. One Georgia state representative introduced a bill to restore Confederate Memorial Day and Robert E. Lee's birthday as official state holidays. Accusing detractors of cultural terrorism, he compared the effort to remove Confederate symbols to ISIS's destruction of mosques and temples. "We're entitled to our heritage," he stated. The decision to take down Confederate statues provoked real terror in some communities. A contractor hired in New Orleans to remove the city's monuments decided to back out in early 2016 after receiving death threats and finding his car torched by an arsonist. At a 2017 Charlottesville, Virginia rally in defense of a Robert E. Lee statue slated for removal, a white supremacist plowed his car into a group of counter-protesters, killing one and injuring many. Meanwhile, in Charleston, where the emotional appeal of critics' arguments would seem to have been the most difficult to resist, Confederate and pro-slavery symbols remained in place. Calls to remove the Calhoun Monument, located just a block away from Emanuel A.M.E. Church, went nowhere. From the cacophony of voices that weighed in on what to do with these flags and monuments, on whether to keep them or take them down, one thing became clear: Americans do not share a common memory of slavery. Some, like Roof, romanticize the institution or deny its centrality to our history. Others focus on its cruelty.